So, Angelo, Nvidia crushed earnings expectations on sales that rose more than 70%. Guidance was upbeat, and the stock is lower right now, down more than 3%. What is going on here?
Yeah, I mean, it's always difficult when it comes to the chip space and when you start thinking about needing to be contrary in nature. But, you kind of look at the numbers here. I think some investors out there might think that this might be too good of a print. And to your point, I mean, the company really hit on all cylinders here. They beat significantly as far as the quarter is concerned. They did guide better than expected, by a wide margin. Not to mention on top of that, this is a name that did run into the print here over the last couple of days. We did have Q4 earnings season from the hyperscalers, right? Essentially all of them gave CapEx guidance that was higher than expected across the board. It really started with Meta and then Alphabet when they really bumped up their CapEx to the level that they did. You knew Amazon was going to do it. And while Microsoft necessarily hasn't committed to that here for calendar 26, they're bumping up their CapEx as well dramatically from what they previously anticipated. So I think as far as the print is concerned, it was a great number, but I don't think it necessarily surprised anyone. And because of that, you're getting the lackluster reaction here in shares. And not to mention, when you look at Nvidia over the last couple of quarters, it's almost kind of been a lackluster type response.
Okay, so you rated Nvidia a strong buy going into the print. Given the fact that it's selling off, I'm assuming you would say this is a buying opportunity here, but the biggest reason you'd still be a buyer after?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. So I think when you look if you're a long-term investor at this point in time, and you are a believer of this kind of shift to greater AI workloads, what I think Jensen Huang did a really good job of on the call was really sell. I think compute demand is more of this less capital intensive and more consumable driven to some extent, whereas it's essentially going to be driven with the need for more and more tokens, and as data continues to explode out there. So when I start thinking about just Nvidia and the long-term trajectory here, I don't necessarily see them as a chip company. I see them as kind of as this infrastructure platform, and you're going to continue to need to leverage this platform here in the foreseeable future because token growth is going to explode not only over the next 1 to 3 years, but over the next decade. And as a result, I think that Nvidia ecosystem continues to get stronger over time, despite some of the near-term concerns out there, whether it be bottlenecks tied to memory or the power needs out there, or whether it be tied to uncertainties about the actual end demand landscape in any given quarter.
This was actually a pretty strong quarter and outlook for Nvidia. Why is everybody so concerned?
I don't think there's any fundamental concern. There was nothing negative we could find.
But
in
investors
the print.
are unhappy completely.
There is. I think it has a function of AI fatigue in the market. So if you look at the top 5-7 customers who are driving all this revenue, they all got punished because of raising higher capex spendings, right? So you can't have it both ways from an investor perspective. Like if they don't like the high capex spending, the company that's capturing a lot of that would also likely not get rewarded. Also, like you said, it's a $5 trillion company, right? A lot of this story has been digested and absorbed and analyzed. So there's also that wanting for a brand new catalyst factor, which I guess was not there from the earnings.
Robert Shipman, come on in here because like Kunjan, you look at this from the credit perspective too. You look at NVIDIA in the context of the other companies too, and obviously the customers as well. How do you view the earnings? What story did it tell to you?
Yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm living in a bizarro world.
Why?
This might have been the greatest print in the history of the stock market with the greatest guide. And we're in a market, at least an equity market right now, where nothing is good enough. A lot of people are long this name. It's $5 trillion equity market cap. Where do you find the next buyer? From a credits perspective, spreads are tighter this morning. It's not a huge float, but tighter. NVIDIA got upgraded earlier this year, and I think they're going to be the next AAA rated name. So, what do my customers think? I think they think everything's fine. They're worrying about other names. NVIDIA is not one of them.
No signs, though, of credit stress. Let's broaden out in terms of hyperscalers, like tapping the debt markets and so on and so forth. Any of it that shows any signs of stress or strains when you look at these balance sheets?
What some see as stress in terms of borrowing money to build AI, I see as opportunity. And I think that's what the leaders of all these hyperscalers see as well.
Opportunity to buy their and own their debt and be part of this?
No.
What?
They're building the future. They're investing capital into cash flow generating assets. The problem is it takes a lot of time up front to build it before you start seeing the returns. So right now, all we're seeing is the spending. No one's actually seeing the returns so far. Again, I would argue that if you actually look at the first quarter prints for all of these names, whether it's Microsoft, Meta, Alphabet, they all had record highs, and they're all guiding even higher, all with double-digit top-line growth. So I think there's a dichotomy between the equity markets and the credit markets. The credit markets are fine. We're actually hearing about a wall of worry, a dystopian world where we're all going to be walking around with robots and rocks. And quite frankly, I think that's news that sells, and I don't see it. The credit markets don't see it. And if these companies have more bonds to sell, there are buyers out there.
But to be fair, and Kunjan, come on in here, that part of the dystopian world is the promise of this technology actually succeeding. So to Robert's point, what would make you say, okay, we've gone from the place of spend, where these companies are spending money, to actually seeing the returns? What do you need to see in order to say we've gotten there?
I think we are seeing the return, is just like Robert mentioned, we are seeing a return from all of these names. Look at their earnings, look at their AI-driven earnings. In a lot of places, I know the data is too early, and you cannot still justify a token dollar spent to a dollar of revenue captured. But when you dig deeper and look at their key metrics, I mean, Salesforce also announced a new metric that they created to justify token usage to how an agentic task gets done. So we are seeing a lot of data points here, which is driving higher and higher revenue, driving higher and higher productivity for a lot of these companies that are spending money. But it will take.
What are your thoughts on the report that we got from Nvidia, and almost more importantly, the market reaction that we're seeing in response to it?
Yeah, thanks, Marley. So it's good to be on. I think, it's always odd to me as a technology analyst, as an industry analyst, to see negative reaction to positive results in the market, especially in the tech sector. I think that there are a few things going on here. Obviously, Nvidia is doing really well. They had a blowout quarter. This is everything that we want to see. Data center spend is still super high. AI is still ramping up. But I think there's some genuine concerns for investors. First of all, in how quickly the ROI equation becomes positive, right? We're still seeing a lot of spend. We're not necessarily seeing a lot of revenue come out of it. And at some point, all these technology companies and their customers have to start telling a better story about ROI. Even if it's in the near future, at least give us, a timeline, sort of a roadmap. The other thing is the transition from training to inference. And I think that's a little bit of a concern for NVIDIA that's been so dominant in training, but inference is a little bit more varied. It opens the door to a lot more CPU and NPU capabilities, which brings a lot of competition from Intel, from AMD, from Qualcomm, Amazon, Google, that sort of threatens the dominance of NVIDIA compared to how dominant it's been in the LLM training phase.
And Keith, we saw the company beat and raise again. Stock reaction has been mixed. What is the market wrestling with today, do you think? Was the bar just too high here?
No, I don't think the bar was too high. They exceeded by a lot, and they guided up a lot. I think the end issue is the hyperscalers and what they're spending on the CapEx, and we've seen that ramp up. And as that ramped up, this AI build-out, NVIDIA was a beneficiary. So now the question is, that ROI question, just the other guest just mentioned, is how quickly can those companies that are using NVIDIA chipsets actually make a return on their investment? At some point in time, the market investors are going to say, hey, wait a minute, hyperscale guys, you're spending $300 billion, $400 billion, $500, $700 billion this next year. At some point in time, if they're not earning revenue, what the fear is, then they'll cut back on the spend, which NVIDIA is directly benefiting from. So I think that's where the push is here on NVIDIA stock. And great numbers, great guidance. The one thing we're watching is margins at 75%, so they're not deteriorating yet. But I think what investors expect is if that revenue for the hyperscalers doesn't start showing up, that will deteriorate, and that's kind of what's kind of a lid on the stock right now.
And Olivier, that gross margin number holding just north of 75%, guiding for a similar number here. How critical is that margin number to the bull case?
Oh, it's central to the bull case. But I'll add another little element about this. I think that the speed of the build outs and the constraints of energy that came up in your previous segment just before we came on are also really valid. And it's something that we're not necessarily talking about here. But the all of this hinges on being able to build these hyperscalers and building this scale for all these chips to go into. And we just don't currently have the infrastructure to build them fast enough and to power them all. And so I think that that's going to act as a brake against sort of the positive outlook on what Nvidia can deliver and what all of the market can deliver as a whole. I think it's definitely a concern there. Like we know what we could do if we had unlimited resources to support this, but we just don't.
And Keith, you highlighted the hyperscalers. They've got more than 50% of their revenue coming from them, but networking revenue jumped more than 260%, I think, from the report. Is Nvidia increasingly a data center fabric company now and not just a GPU story? And do you think that the street is properly valuing the networking piece of the business?
Yeah, they are. But again, I think some of these, the margins are what's key to watch here at 75%, because competition is coming as well. NVIDIA is by far the leader in the space, and they're doing that, just like you mentioned. But at some point in time, if the return is not there for their end customers, they're going to seek cheaper alternatives, even though they may not be the leader. So that's kind of, I think, what the market's trying to struggle with right now. Is like, now the valuation, we haven't talked about that yet. I think there's a support level here at 25 times this year's numbers, growing 60%. If you look at the S&P 500, trades at 22 times for 14-15% growth rate. And then you go fast forward a year, the forecast is for 30% growth rate, and you're going to trade at 18 times, which will be cheaper than the S&P 500. So that's kind of the weird spot we are right now with Nvidia.
I mean, let's acknowledge that this was a strong quarter, and it was a strong outlook, Dan Howley, and that, the outlook here is still for demand to continue to be strong.
Yeah, I mean, look, they knocked out of the park for Q4. They knocked out of the park for Q1. They came in well above original estimates of $72.8 billion. They said they could go between 76.4 and 79.5. I mean, I don't know how much better you could possibly do. I think it comes down to, it's not necessarily an Nvidia issue. It's more of a systemic, perhaps, issue when it comes to investors thinking, okay, well, they're doing great. That's awesome. But what else is happening in the AI space? And one of the things that I think is interesting from Nvidia's earnings is they point out that their networking business is continuing to grow, up 200-something percent year over year. And it's not just because folks are buying it as, part and parcel of their chips and, what have you. They're getting other customers outside of that. So they point specifically to Amazon, which has its own chips, right? They obviously have NVIDIA chips, but when it comes to using their own chips, their Trainium AI, they are buying NVIDIA's networking capabilities on their own to pair with their own chips. So I think that's another opportunity.
We got to stop calling Nvidia our Super Bowl, Brian Sozzi. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna plant my flag right now.
I see where you're going, but I'm gonna let you finish.
We are not going to call it the Super Bowl anymore because Nvidia, while it may be the biggest stock in the market right now, it's not the most important anymore. And I'll tell you why. It goes to what Dan was talking about. The question right now in the market that everything is hinging on is not what is the ultimate demand going to be? What's the spend? What's the size of the AI thing? The question is, what is AI going to disrupt? NVIDIA doesn't help us answer that question right now. In fact, if NVIDIA answered that question, it would be sort of late, right? Because by the time software spend slows down and that trickles to the hyperscalers cutting back on their spending, and then it gets to NVIDIA, it's already happened.
Okay, so the hyperscalers are going to spend $650 billion in 2026. More than 50% of NVIDIA's revenue comes from those hyperscalers. And one of the analysts, I forget which one on the call, said, yeah, so what? They can't do that forever. So what do you do when that stops happening? And look, that's been a conversation for some time.
Yes, it has.
But $650 billion is a lot. And it feels like that's $200 billion out of Amazon, $35 billion for Meta. They can't, those numbers are
peak,
unsustainable.
in other words.
Exactly.
I'm using NVIDIA earnings as a insight into the economy. And everything I heard from Jensen, everything I saw in these numbers, everything I saw in the 10K leaves me feeling good about where the economy is right now. I saw there's so many data
fine,
points
that's a snapshot. The question is not about how the economy is doing right now. It's how is the economy going to do?
Well, I think Nvidia, just the fact that they increased
future.
their inventory like 115%, I mean, that's a great sign of where the economy is.
I guess I'm not arguing about the status of the economy. What I'm asking is, the thing that everyone is worried about is, are we going to have a job 5 years from now?
Well,
or are there going to be avatars
this quarter from
and
Nvidia
robots?
says no. I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
We'll have jobs because we're creators. But if if you're working in the back room or an HR department, look at that workday quarter. Look at the market response to that.
Well, exactly. And so you asked, okay, so if it's not Nvidia, then what is it? Is it Salesforce? I wouldn't say it's any individuals. I wouldn't say it's any single stock.
Well, I think the Nvidia quarter reinforced the sell-off in software stocks. The strong Nvidia quarter, how strong it was, to come out here with guidance $6 billion, Dan, in terms of revenue ahead of consensus. That's $6 billion. I think it reinforces how weak a lot of the software players could become over the next 18 months.
Think about competition, at least on the chip side. Is AMD closing the gap? Does Nvidia still have the lead that it used to?
So Nvidia still has the lead, but I think AMD's got a great opportunity here. I mean, they did just announce a partnership with Meta. That was a great partnership in terms of the 6 gigawatts. I think that really paves the way for them to really start ramping up these rack scale solutions that they plan to ramp up in the second half of this year, and it's going to gain momentum here into 27 and beyond. When I think about the tail opportunity between AMD and Nvidia, I'd say the greater upside is going to come from AMD. So that's a name where I think over the next 3 to 5 years, you've got some significant upside potential, because they're now just starting this journey into these large-scale solutions. And we do think they're going to be successful there. And essentially, they're coming from a market share of near zero. So the upside there is absolutely enormous in our view. And again, they'll take some share from NVIDIA, and we think that's perfectly okay, because the bigger story for NVIDIA is going to actually be the content growth in data centers. So not only are they going to continue to see growth in their GPUs, but CPUs are now becoming a much bigger opportunity. What they're doing on the networking side is just absolutely incredible when you start looking at the growth rates there. So the content growth that they're seeing across their entire platform, we think will continue to allow them to grow as well.
Okay, so if NVIDIA is a strong buy, is AMD a stronger buy then?
I mean, if it could be a stronger buy, it would be. But I'll be honest with you, they're both strong buy recommendations, and it really is pegged on the bigger thesis out there in terms of the demand, the need for significantly more compute here over the next couple of years or so. So that's really the core of the thesis, and both of those names really are going to be beneficiaries. I'd say if you're willing to take on a little bit more risk, AMD is probably the better play for you with the more upside potential. If you're a little bit more risk averse, looking at a name that maybe won't run as much, but at the same time maybe has less downside potential, I'd say NVIDIA is